It's time to predict week 3 of the NFL, and really quickly before I get into it, this has been the second week that a draw, like a tie game, happened in the NFL. And that's the first time I remember that happening 2 weeks back to back, and because of that, and because I don't want my record to be screwed over by that, I'm introducing the tie in my prediction record as well. So I officially have now 2 games that count as ties because it's technically a wrong prediction because I didn't get the winner, but also didn't get the loser right. So it's only fair for me to reflect that in my predictions as well. Still a losing record last week, not too good. Still not too happy with the predictions. I'm kind of happy with most of the actual game results in like my personal favoritism, but predictions can still use some improvement. So let's get into week 3, and as always, I'll get, maybe if it's important, a quick recap of week 2. So first we've got the Jets and the Browns, which would, the last 5 to 10 years would have been the absolute toilet bowl game of the NFL. But this year they seem kind of alright. Both teams seem kind of in the middle of things, and there's not a clear winner here. I still like Sam Darnold, obviously. I think Tyrod Taylor is still going to start for the Browns. But the Browns, well, they didn't win. They held 2 close games against really, really good teams. And the Jets, they fell to the Dolphins in what was a mediocre game for Darnold, I think. I'm still picking the Jets to win it because I think Darnold can do it. He has the ability right now to overcome that. And I like the Jets' defensive line. They've been getting a lot of praise for a few years, and they have really failed to show up. But it seems like they're getting there. So Jets over Browns. Got the Saints and the Falcons, and the NFC South is rocking right away from the start. We have a lot of divisional matchups right away, and this one is also another huge one because I got the Falcons to win it against the Saints. This is one of the best matchups in the league, and this could be an NFC championship game. I'm sorry, with the Saints and the Falcons, but the Saints kind of look not too good in long stretches there against the Browns, and they were about to lose. So I don't like to see that. And the Falcons looked a lot improved since they went down to the Eagles in week 1. So I got the Falcons to beat the Saints here. Packers at the Redskins. Aaron Rodgers is winning this game. I'm still going with him. Of course, I get that the Packers should have probably won in week 2, should have probably defeated the Vikings, but Kirk Cousins pulled off some kind of miracle. There was a controversial penalty there with Clay Matthews and the late hit, and then overtime, of course, missing field goals left and right. That was a weird game, but Packers are beating the Redskins in my opinion. Got the Colts and the Eagles. Now, speaking of the Redskins, that was a pretty weak showing against Indianapolis there, but I still don't think that the Colts will be able to defeat the Eagles. Even though the Eagles went down to the Buccaneers, which that's something that I will get back to later when the time is right, but I gotta be safe here. Gotta save my record, so Eagles over the Colts. Bills and the Vikings. Yeah, Vikings. Josh Allen is now starting, but that he's not gonna turn that around. Not against the Vikings team, because the Vikings are looking pretty good. I don't have anything to say about the Packers game anymore, but Vikings are still one of the best teams. Bills are one of the worst, and Josh Allen is not a miracle maker in his second career start. So the Vikings are taking that one. Raiders and the Dolphins. Going into the season, I didn't like either one of those teams, and right now they're both kind of mediocre at best. Raiders managed to somehow shank it against the Broncos at Mile High, and they lost it again to a last-minute field goal. I still think they're going to beat the Dolphins, probably, because it's just about time for the Raiders to pull it off. Dolphins beat the Jets in an okay game, but yeah, Raiders over the Dolphins. Broncos and Ravens. Ravens went down to the Bengals big time, and it seems like the Bengals are one of those teams again this year that look great for the first 8 weeks, 10 weeks, kind of like the Chiefs do every year, but they really don't make the playoffs. Or if they do, they'll lose the first game because obviously Andy Dalton, you know the rumors. I got the Ravens to beat the Broncos. Next one is Bengals and Panthers. Talked about the Bengals right there. Panthers. The Panthers are a better roster, and in part of that it's because the division, the NFC South, is so much better than the Bengals division. Even though the Ravens are okay, but I still don't like the Bengals in this one. I'm picking the Panthers. Cam Newton is probably gonna, well, I think he's gonna play. He took a bad hit, but he continued playing, so I have no doubt that he's gonna start, and he's probably gonna win this. Giants at Texans. I'm gonna pick the Texans anyway. I've been picking the Texans and they've been losing, but I still like Deshaun Watson. And the Giants kind of miffed it too last week. They can't really get a rhythm going. They got great offensive weapons, but they still lost to the Cowboys anyway. So Texans, this is my last bet though. If the Texans lose this one, I might have to reconsider my stance on them. Titans and Jaguars. Now, I'm going to pick the Jaguars for sure. Both teams won, but the Jaguars demolished the Patriots last week. That was crazy. That defense had Tom Brady's number all day. Rob Gronkowski scored less than 2 fantasy points. That's while playing the entire game. That's insane. And Blake Bortles he played all right. I'm not complaining about him. Looks pretty good. So the Jaguars are on a good path, and they're going to beat the Titans. 49ers at the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes. Wow. I would not have expected that. Patrick Mahomes last week had more touchdowns than he had incompletions. And I would have expected him to struggle more this season, but he's been putting it on people. 49ers won a close game against the Lions, which didn't have to be close at all, by the way. They were up by 17 points at one point, and then they slacked off. And then the Lions came back and almost took it, but they both won. I'm still going to pick the Chiefs in this one. I'm not sure about Garoppolo versus Mahomes. Apparently Mahomes is everything that they expected him to be. So Garoppolo had some issues, particularly relating to his receivers. He's been taking a lot of coverage sacks, and that needs to improve. Like, people need to start running their routes a lot better, even though the catching aspect in San Francisco was better this week. They scored a bunch of points, so that was okay. I'm giving to the Chiefs because that offense is explosive, and I think Pat Mahomes is going to get it done. Chargers and Rams. Now, this is the LA duel, and I'm going to give this to the Chargers. Both of these teams are really good. Why am I giving it to the Chargers? Because I like their defense. I like the Rams' defense, obviously, but the Chargers' defense might be the best in the league. Of course, we need Joey Bosa back first, but I'm going to say the Chargers are going to take it against the Rams. Rams obviously had no problems against the Cardinals. I think they swiped them all day. And Chargers, of course, beat up on the Bills. So Chargers actually over Rams. This might be a minority pick here, but I'm giving it to the Bulls. Cowboys and Seahawks. Both those teams are kind of cruising in the middle of nowhere. I don't think either of these is going to make the playoffs, even though they're big names. And I'm going to say the Cowboys win it, because I just haven't seen enough of the Seahawks to really judge how good they are despite Russell Wilson. And the Cowboys aren't exactly the epitome of consistency either, but they got Zeke, so Cowboys are going to take it. It's going to be a close game, though, in my opinion. Bears and the Cardinals. The Bears are going to take this. Cardinals are strictly bad this year. They did nothing at all against the Rams, and they're going to go down in that division as well. I don't see them beating the Rams or the 49ers anytime soon, and they might also lose to the Seahawks when all is said and done. So the Bears are still on the up and coming, and I'm picking the Chicago Bears. Patriots and the Lions. Now, Matthew Stafford is apparently a little better than we thought he was in the beginning of the season, even though we know that he can be good, but he played horribly against the Jets in week 1. Played better against the 49ers, even though he had overthrows, a lot of them, and he did manage to pull out the win in the end. But then again, the Niners scored 30 points, and that's kind of tough to do sometimes. So I'm going to say the Patriots win it, even though they didn't get anything done against the Jaguars either. So this is going to be a match of two teams that are feeling the urgency, because they both need to start winning games. Patriots are 1-1, and the Lions, they really need it. So I can see it's in Detroit, so I can see Stafford pulling out some stuff, the another Motown miracle. But then again, he's facing the Patriots, and he's facing Coach Belichick, and that's going to be the toughest test that he's gotten so far defensively, and the Patriots are going to take this, in my opinion. And lastly, we have the Steelers and the Buccaneers. And strap yourselves to your seats. I'm picking the Buccaneers. I'm picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because the Steelers have been bad for the most part, and the Buccaneers have been excellent. For some reason that I can't explain, and really no one in the world can explain, Ryan Fitzpatrick is... If the season ended today, Ryan Fitzpatrick is probably the MVP. Either him or Pat Mahomes. I'm probably going to do a video after a quarter and a half and 3/4 of the season, like discussing those awards and giving a brief look on my rankings. But, I mean, Jameis Winston, before all is said and done, might be hitting the unemployment office again. Sooner than most of us would have expected if he keeps this up. Because he's been consistent, and look at who he's been dotting up. He beat the Saints and the Eagles. Those are arguably the two best teams in the NFC. And the Buccaneers were expected to go like 3-13 this year. So I have the confidence in Ryan Fitzpatrick now. I'm a believer. And the Steelers are underachieving like crazy without Le'Veon Bell. He's still not in the building. And the defense isn't exactly consistent either. They gotten shredded by Pat Mahomes, second-year quarterback. So Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to do this. And actually take the Buccaneers to a 3-0, which is going to raise some eyebrows for sure, because Jameis Winston is eligible in Week 4, and if Fitzpatrick, if he pulls out another one like that, I don't see Jameis starting again in Week 4. I don't see it, because why would you change that? That's more success than you've had the last few years with even though he's a #1 overall pick, he's never done that. So, I'm believing it. And if you haven't seen it, by the way, go check out Ryan Fitzpatrick's press conference. I'm not going to say anything, but it was hilarious after the game. Just go check it out. You'll laugh your asses off. Great guy. So, thank you for watching. That is my predictions for Week 3. Let's hope that I'm doing better this week than I have in weeks prior. I'm not too happy. I'm definitely looking for a positive record long term. And also, I'd like to give some comparisons from... my predictions against some experts on the NFL Network and on Fox and whatnot. So, yeah, I need to start improving ASAP. But I hope this week's going to be the one. And thank you for watching. If you happen to like it, then leave a thumbs up on my video and consider subscribing to Beyond Football. And if you got some time left and you're interested in in-depth analysis, I have videos on my channel. For example, Jimmy Garoppolo, I mentioned him, or Sam Darnold. So if you want to, then go check those out. I also analyzed the Rams and 49ers rivalry very recently. If you're interested, have a look at that. And thank you for watching. I'm going to see you in the next one.